Welcome back to the Manifest and Chill podcast. I'm Tracy Ftacek, and I guide high achieving women to build a life and business they deserve and dream of while learning to chill the fuck out in the process. I have an incredible guest today, Michelle Mekky of Mekky Media. She is local to the Chicago area. We actually have about 8, almost 9 years history together with my former beauty tech company. And then we've just realized we run in the same circle of friends and we just have been ships passing in the night these last like 9 years. So I want to welcome a very good friend and a brilliant woman and savvy business owner, Michelle Mekky. Michelle, welcome. Thank you so much for being on Manifest and Chill.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I've been a fan for many years. It's been awesome to watch you. So I'm
Thank
I'm
you.
very honored to be here.
Thank you so much. I am honored as well. And I put out a social media post looking for podcast guests because my podcast, since I launched it almost a year ago, has always just been solo episodes of delivering information I share. However, you were one of the first people that raised their hand, which I love because that's like your whole business model of putting people forward with their stories. So, would you take a moment and just introduce yourself and tell my community a little bit about yourself and how we got to today?
Sure, yes. So I am Michelle Mekky. I am CEO and founder, as you mentioned, of Mekky Media Relations. That is a PR agency that I started 10 years ago, right here in this room, which used to be my dining room, and it became my home office and got better and better over the years. But I am born and raised in Chicago. My parents were immigrants from Poland and Ireland. And I watched my dad work so hard, and it really instilled in me, the work ethic that I still have today. And I had big dreams to be a journalist. I ended up going to Northwestern, getting scholarship because we didn't have money for college. And then got my start in television, where I worked for 12 years as a senior producer for Fox in Chicago. And that explains a lot of how I got into PR. I was pitched by every publicist in the country, and they all wanted to be on the show. And I really understood, how to tell great stories and what was really missing in PR back then. And then I decided to transition into a career for about a decade, working for three different agencies as the number two pretty much in those companies before deciding to jump off the entrepreneurial cliff and start my own. So there's a lot more to say about all of those years, but that's the highlight of who I am.
I love that. And we get a little sweary on Manifest and
Okay, I
Chill.
love
So
it.
I am sure you probably saw some real shitty PR pitches.
I did, and I really did. And, I had my few that I loved, that I trusted, but I could only count them on one hand. And I really understood back then, people just they don't really get what TV producers need and also what makes news. And it's a challenge because, we have clients that hire us and they pay us and they want us to get them featured, but they have to have a story to tell and know how to tell that. And that's where being a really good publicist comes in.
I love that. So
Yeah.
really your agency is you're not just getting placements for them and you are coaching them. You are doing the mindset work, right? To help
Yes.
them.
Yes, and that's actually one of my biggest passions, to be honest. I for years walked the hallways of Fox with these newsmakers that I would book, and they'd seem great and confident until the minute the studio doors opened, it was like they transformed into a different person. A lot of them afraid, nervous, started sweating, and I would coach them minutes before we walked in, but I really saw that this is a skill that most people do not naturally have. It needs to be learned and practiced, and even the professionals get coached on messaging and how to answer tough questions, and all the things that can happen when you're faced in front of a news reporter. So we take it back. I mean, it's not just, help us get media. It's about coaching them to really understand how to put their best foot forward, what they should be saying, looking like, the content of their stories, what's really going to make the biggest impact. And then it's about, okay, now let's design the strategy to really land them that exposure that's going to drive the business. Whether it's growth, whether it's notoriety, credibility, future sale. Everyone has a different goal. But it started pretty small. I mean, it was just me and a few clients. And my very first client was a pro bono, actually trade client. It was my trainer.
Wow.
And, before I started my business, I lost my job and I told him, I can't afford your services right now, but I'm starting a new business and I'll call you when I'm ready. And he's like, I'll be your first client. You don't have to pay me for your sessions. Like, PR, Michelle. I have heard you talk for weeks. And the fact that he believed in me that much, like that's what helped me piece by piece, like
Yeah.
find the confidence to become an entrepreneur.
That's incredible. And
Yeah,
that's you, there's two things there that I always say that, especially with women entrepreneurs, there is an instinct and an intuition and an ability to understand the patterns of how to make something successful or how a success has fallen into place in the past. I think it's just innately built in us, whether,
yeah,
you're a mother or not, you could be like, oh, that friend's going down the wrong path or that business isn't going to last very long. We are the change makers to society. And you saw a pattern. You were like, these are, some people have stories that are not getting sent out there simply because their
right,
PR agency, their media agency doesn't know how to pitch. And
right,
then you notice that even in the most accomplished communities of on face to camera, a talent are not as confident and built the way they need to. And then
right,
the other pattern was, okay, so I actually am very successful. You had a proven strategy and pattern of success from when you were with your previous companies as an employee.
right, exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're like, this is where I want to go and this is what I want to do. I mean, it's
Right.
not like overnight you decided to
No,
open,
right, no.
but you had such strong patterns. And we tend to fail, I think, to recognize that. And it only
Isn't
takes
that
one
funny?
person to inspire us, right?
I know, 100%. And I love telling how I started the business because it was not about me being so successful that I'm like, that's it, I'm ready to be an entrepreneur, because I'm so good. It was really very different. And in my second agency, and I talk about this very publicly, I got very sick and I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, shockingly. And that was, the first big moment that I say the universe like shook me, right? I was very lucky. It was caught stage one. I had no symptoms and, woke up from a surgery with everything taken out of me, being told you have cancer. I thought my life was over, right? But then I found out it was stage one and you were spared. And everybody in the hospital and every doctor or nurse I've seen since says, I hope you know how lucky you are. Like, you're here for a reason.
Wow.
So the more I heard that, you're a walking miracle. The more I heard that, the more I thought, oh my God, like I need to do something meaningful with my life, but I didn't know what, right? And then the second thing that happened is I lost my job and my husband looked at me and said, "You're going to start a company." And I said, "Are you crazy? I don't have an MBA. I don't know anything about business. Like I'm a journalist, I'm a publicist. Like I know how to tell stories, but like I'm not going to make money." And he said, "Babe, like you know everyone, you know everything." Like every day for 7 days, he asked me, "What's the name of your company? What's the name of your company?" And it was nagging me and nagging me. And I really was so filled with self-doubt and lack of confidence, so far along already in my career,
Wow.
and that I had to go see a mentor, a fellow female entrepreneur who, sold her business and family friend. And I really appealed to her for help. I said, I am stuck. Like, I am afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And she said, what's it going to take to finally get you to believe in yourself? I mean, really, Michelle, like, what is it going to take?
Wow.
Everyone knows what a star you are but you. And I was crying. And she said, is it money that's holding you back? Do you need money? What if I wrote you a check right now? And I said, I don't know. Like, I don't even know how much I would need.
Yeah.
Not too much, I don't think, so she took out her checkbook and she wrote me a check for $10,000 and she handed it to me and she said, "This is a loan, no terms on repayment, go start your business." And in that moment, to see somebody believe in me that much, I never saw a check that big in my life, like made
Yeah.
out to me, that
Yeah.
wasn't like from an employer. And I just was stunned. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to fail. So I love telling that story because I feel like so many women are so filled with that similar like questioning, insecurity, self-doubt, which is such a waste of our energies. And it's like how we tell these stories to ourselves that held me back for so long. But still, I'm grateful because every single failure, every single moment I had in my career leading up to it made me that much better for what I'm doing now. So in the end, I'm happy I did it when I did it, but the road was a lot harder than it needed to be, truly.
Yes. And that's, it wasn't I mean, yes, it's going to be challenging. You're going to
Right.
come up, it's like that movie that just was at the Academy Awards, one battle after
Oh,
another.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's days where I'm like, is that the story of my life? Like
Yeah,
just the title itself. But
totally. I
that's
know.
what
We can all
life is.
relate.
And
Yeah.
I read a quote recently that stated that it may look from the outside that I win all the time, but what you're seeing is me coming back after all my failures.
Right.
And that's the win, is the try again. And every single time you were down and felt that, what am I going to do and how am I going to
Yeah.
handle this? You had I would venture to guess, you had this little voice inside of you, that was like, Michelle, you've got something. What do you want to do? How do you
Yeah.
want to do it? Which can cause stage fright in making any
Yes.
movements.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
on the other shoulder, you had the community, your husband, your family,
Right.
your friends.
Yes.
And it's that little voice that probably encouraged you to go to that mentor and
That's right.
actually have a conversation.
That's right. Because I probably heard it from people several times and by then, but I still didn't. I was still kind of frozen,
Yes. Yes.
And even being frozen on its own is so scary because you just can't put one foot in front of the other and you don't know why, right? Because
Yes.
you're just stuck.
Yes.
So that really helped me, move forward to make the decision to do it.
Yeah.
And so and I can't believe what has happened since then. Truly, truly. And
I mean, every year your business
yeah,
just continues to grow and
yeah,
grow because you're putting the numbers in. My daughter was a competitive gymnast, and I remember one time she was trying to learn how to do a trick on the beam, and she just kept falling off. And I
yeah.
went to her coach after one of her practices, really concerned, and I'm like, "Is she going to get this?" And she's like, "She just needs to put the numbers in. That's all that anybody needs to do. Put the numbers in."
Interesting.
And it's
Interesting.
the rotated cycle of
Yes.
just
Yeah.
let me try this way and let me try this way and let me
Yes.
look at opportunities.
Right.
And life is not perfect.
Right.
And entrepreneurship is not perfect. But this is why I feel that you're such a great mentor example, is that you had every reason to curl up in a ball in the corner of the before office dining room.
I sure did. Yes, exactly. I sure
But
did.
when you decided you were going to do this, you put 10 toes down and said, I'm
Yeah.
in.
I did. That's exactly right. I said, okay, if you're going to do this, Michelle, you will not fail no matter what,
Yeah.
whatever it takes. So then I was like pouring myself into the work where I spent so much time like trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to say? What's my story? What's different about me?
Yes.
What services are we going to provide? And how am I going to say this and do this? And finally, my mentor had to be like, Michelle, like, just post, just announce it. Like you need revenue, like you need a client, because I was so like afraid that I wanted it to be perfect. And
Yes.
she's like, you can tweak as you go, you can make it better as you go. And I feel like that's really a big story of ours, is that every year you evaluate, you look and see what you've done, where you can grow, where you can be better. And, it never stays exactly the same.
No.
So it's evolved so much. So I've been able to, go more with the flow now and understand that, like you said, life is not easy. In fact, I'm a big energy person and I've done a lot of work with an intuitive coach to really
Mhm.
tap into my intuition and understand the energy that you put out is what comes back. But it's it's hard to be that way all the time when bad things happen still.
Yeah.
We all are faced with so much challenge in our life, but it's all in how you respond and how you react. And I feel like that's how I've evolved as a leader and as a business owner, where I don't get, thrown down to the ground every time something bad happens. I know how to like stay strong, face it, figure it out. And a big part of that is that I have a team now and I'm not as alone as I used to
Yes.
feel.
Yes.
And they're very talented and they've been loyal and, worked hard for me too, and they continue to. So I don't feel sometimes as alone as it could be,
Yeah.
where I have people I can go to and talk things through and, and you work to do the best you can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this, I want to jump into a piece where you're saying that, like, you were like, yes, this will not fail.
right.
There is this conversation I have with when I'm coaching my clients of the balance of the feminine and masculine energy. And women do innately make the very best CEOs and founders when they are fully balanced in their feminine and masculine. And I think what you have honed that I admire so much is that it's not that you're stating, I am perfectly balanced all the time, and
Right.
that's what makes me so much greater. It's that you know when to lean in to your feminine energy and
Right.
when to lean into your masculine energy. And that's the true balance that
Yeah.
I want all of our community to understand. And it's easier for us in many ways than men because men do struggle leaning into their feminine
They
energy.
do. They absolutely do.
So
Yeah.
it's just another example of it's not man against women, it's just we preset ourselves with that within
Yes.
our DNA, our coding.
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating what you just said because I have worked hard to figure out who do I want to be as a leader and how to balance, being firm when I need to be while also being sensitive and understanding and being more of the big-hearted human that I am. And it definitely it has been a challenge for me to figure that out. But I feel like I've reached a point now where I'm my most authentic self. And sure, do I sometimes feel bad if I have to do something and come down a little bit tough on someone? Yes, I do. It doesn't feel great to me.
Right.
However, I understand more when it's necessary and how to, deliver feedback in a way that I feel more balanced.
Yes.
But also, it's about how I take care of myself, and that's been, I think, a big evolution for me
Yeah.
as a mother, as a wife, and as a leader, and as someone who's just been, trying to find her true self all these years. And like I told you, I think it's only been recent that I've been able to really
Yeah.
feel like I'm conquering that.
Do you feel when you're on those, and now that you look back at
Yeah.
the previous, how you were sitting very strongly in the masculine energy when you began, which
Yeah,
we have to sometimes when we begin because it really is, you'll get knocked down to your knees if you
that's
do
right.
not have the strength of the masculine energy to
Yeah.
just stick it and go through it. Whereas now with the balance of the feminine and masculine, and also like you said, working with the spiritual
Yeah.
intuitive,
Yeah.
and I think I saw on social media, you still work with a trainer, or are you now working out
Yes.
on your own? And
No, no, I do. I have
okay,
my initial client, he moved to Tennessee, but I have another gym that I go to and it's three trainers actually, and it's incredible. I mean, like that has been a huge part of my own self confidence and my own I think just feeling whole
yeah,
as a woman,
yeah,
where when I had a hysterectomy and I had to continue on in my work life and live with the fact that I'm a cancer survivor, like you just are changed, and I realized then, like, God, for years, I really haven't taken care of myself the way I want to because I just told myself I can't. I have to work. I mean, every work is always number one, family is number one, but anything else there's really no time for. But that's not true, like it's
It's the
just
story.
it's the story that I finally figured out. I just had this like moment where I'm like, Michelle, you're the boss. Like you own the business. Like
Yes.
you can do what you want. It's your own like guilt or your own fears that are really not founded.
Yeah.
So it's time to get over that, and start going to the gym, even if you're going to be a half hour late to your day, it's okay. Like you say, did you make that massage appointment for yourself? That inspires me because I think like so many of us like just think we can't do those things because we just have to work, work, work in order to be successful. But the truth is we won't be successful if we don't do that. And I am so aligned with you on that point.
Snaps on that one, Michelle.
100%. And I feel like only in the last year and any challenge that comes my way now, I've, been open about I have, some health issues at home with my husband and other things that come up and stressors. But when you are whole, and when you know that you have given to yourself first, like everything else is manageable
Yes.
much more than it would have been without it. And so I found it's a constant, effort, of course,
Hmm.
but I'm at the best I've been for sure with
And well,
with
we can
balancing.
tell anybody that's watching this
Thank
on
you.
YouTube or online, you've seen snippets of the
Yeah,
interview.
thank you.
You literally are glowing. Even before we got on, I was like, girl, your skin looks good. Like,
Yeah. I'm like, Michelle, it's time, it's your time now. Like I gave everything to my kids without question. Like I tell people in
of
my
course.
30s, I was 29 when I got married, 30 when I had my son. Like, yeah, I don't know if I looked in the mirror in the whole
Oh,
30s. I
yeah.
really don't even remember,
That's so
honestly. Anything
real.
I owned, any clothing, any makeup, it was just all about them, and which is what we do and without question. And it was great and it was amazing, and then in my 40s is when I got sick and I started to think, what happened to me? Like where did I lost myself, right? So it's been a gradual return to figure out who am I? Who do I want to be? And I have so many people that rely on me. And I think that's what happens when you lead a business. You have employees, family, kids, my mom, everyone looks to me as the center. And so if I'm not good, no one's good. And I have
Correct.
finally really learned that lesson. And I'm very proud because it has not been easy to do.
I love every last syllable of that message that you just shared.
Awesome.
And I think that this is something that anybody that's listening in the community right now that's like, well, that's great. She figured it out.
Yeah.
I don't have that. That's okay. We understand that. It's not about shaming somebody that's saying those things. It's about you also, we did not have examples. We are breaking, that's a generational curse.
That's very true. That's very true. And and again, like this is about little steps, right? This
Yes.
isn't about, having to have $1 million to go get three trainers or anything, because that's not really what it costs anyway. But
Yes.
but it's little things and it's still a battle. Like my mom, I love my mom to death, but she's a huge bread eater and she loves to cook and she does not like when I don't eat, the bread or the pasta and I make
Yeah.
choices because I know what makes me feel good. I'm more in tune, I guess, with what
Yes.
I need when I didn't really notice that before. And so
Yes.
it is very generational, but it's also being learning how to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
Sometimes that just starts by taking a walk around the block in between meetings,
Hmm.
or looking at the sky and the trees for 15 minutes to just calm your nervous system.
Yes.
So I've started very small and really, just found ways to make it like an irreplaceable part of my day.
I think that what's beautiful about everything that you said here, what we've shared, but also what I really talk about when coaching with my clients is creating the boundaries. And
Right.
that's really what you've done is you haven't created boundaries saying, I won't do this and I won't do that. You've created boundaries that have said, I know I want to feel good. I want to feel as great as I possibly can in this body that I have been given. And so,
Yes.
therefore, I have a mission, which you alluded and shared at the beginning. You felt you had a mission. I have a mission that needs to be completed in my time here on earth. So, therefore, I'm going to put boundaries that allow more to happen in my life versus boundaries that push out. Boundaries
Right.
don't have to be a no. Boundaries can be a really strong yes to the good stuff and no to, and then all the other stuff falls away. It's
Right.
just a practice, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it's also interesting because, I do have boundaries, but I'm very sensitive about my boundaries, to
Yeah.
be honest. So I will never say to my, husband, "Sorry, I'm out every night this week. Like you'll just have to gonna find yourself dinner." So because I am, of course, the chef in the house on top
Yeah,
of
and that
everything else.
would definitely go
Yeah.
over like a lead balloon.
But I think, okay, like what's my balance? Like when, I'll cook. Usually what happens is I'll, Instacart or grocery shop on Sundays. I can cook for
Yeah.
2 or 3 days and then I'm burned out. I can't do it anymore. So, I try to cook part of the week and then the other
Yeah.
times, okay, maybe I'll go to a yoga class or maybe I'll, do something for myself.
Yeah,
And my coach has helped me try to figure that out, where maybe like one thing in your day that is for you, even if it's something small,
correct.
that you can do to make you feel better about yourself, that you did something for yourself, even if
Yes.
it's like meditate the minute you wake up or have coffee. Sometimes, for me, like having coffee first thing in the morning without my phone, ideally, at least
Yeah.
for a few minutes, is like the way I prepare myself for the day. And I found those things. But again, I'm 55. So like my advice is don't wait till you're 55. Like, I
Exactly.
mean, it's great that I'm 55 and I'm doing it, but it's taken me a while to figure this stuff out.
Yes. That is
Yeah.
what I have to say I do love about Gen Z is
Yeah.
that generation that they are all about the self-care. They're
They
all
really
about being
are.
the boundaries of taking care of themselves. They love a ritual. I love a
Yes.
ritual.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Like a lot of my team kind of taught me about the importance of this too. So they rubbed off on me and like what they want and how work-life balance is so important in their day. And I, when I was their age, I mean, I was not thinking about those things. I was just thinking about I got to work my butt off to make enough money to support myself and my family and do whatever it takes, really,
Right.
and I just thought that was my destiny in life, honestly,
Yeah.
until, I went to the gynecologist that day and everything changed. But, I did not have that sort of mindset at all until
Yeah.
recently. And it was just never taught to me,
That's
honestly.
so
Yeah.
very true. But
Yeah.
you're rechanging, you're rewriting the narrative on
Yes.
what it is. You're being a different role model for even those that are within your business that have chosen you to be
Yeah.
part of your company. They chose
Right.
you. I always say this when it comes to team members. Your team members actually chose you first. They're the ones that showed up to apply for the position.
That's
So
right.
then at that point in time, then it's like, well, this is a mutual, it's just like getting married. It's a mutual
Yes,
decision
it's
between the
true.
two of you.
It's
And
true. I
so
know.
there's this
Yeah.
unwritten code of because we've mutually chosen one another, then that means that we respect and love each other on a level that doesn't need to be spoken of, but it really allows shit to get done because it's
Yeah, it
all
does.
aligned.
It does. It does. And I feel love, like a lot of love for the people that work for me. Like I do feel love. But like you said, it's not like we all go around saying each other, love you, I love you, because no one's going to say
That's an
that to their
HR
boss.
issue.
Yeah. But I feel such immense like gratitude and
Yeah.
appreciation, that because it's my baby, and I started this idea that's now become an agency and it's my vision that I see alive in them,
Yes.
which is so magical for me to
Yeah.
see. And when clients choose us, it's not about me anymore only, like they're choosing the company, they're choosing the team,
Yes.
and nothing makes me happier. It's not like I miss the attention. I mean, like I love the fact that I have created a place where people have jobs, people make an impact in other people's lives. And, I might have set the tone and the path forward and the values and the culture, but now it's incredible, what
It's
it's turned into. And so
yeah.
that makes me feel a lot of love.
So when a founder such as yourself is such a visionary when they're first starting their company, and then we get caught up in the
Oh
minutia and
yeah.
the having to do it all, and we're sending the emails and we're answering the phone calls and
Yeah.
everything that comes with, or setting the appointments, and
Yeah.
then now you've architected the slide, but you have
Right.
slid into the visionary position again.
Right.
And that's, I think, so valuable as an entrepreneur, as the way you explained it, that these people are part of a team. And so the clients are coming because they know that they have, just like you had your community that supported
Right.
you when you first launched your business and came out of having ovarian cancer and healing yourself.
Yeah.
Now you are providing that community for your clients.
Right. So true. So true. That's beautiful, Tracy. That's really
I mean, I
beautiful.
give myself
Yeah.
goosebumps
Yeah.
thinking about the work that you do and
It's true.
you
Yeah.
are giving. It's not just Michelle saying
Right.
you're a fucking badass and let's
Yeah.
get your story out there.
Right.
You're like, I got 20 other people that'll tell
Right.
you
Yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, and that's what's been so great is like I would say it happened in the last couple of years, where I started to, do that transition more into, I'm more in sales, networking, speaking. That's where I'm really working on my personal brand and,
Yeah.
you know, doing more marketing out, for the company. Where we have a client, for example, it's a medical practice, a GI practice, and we met randomly and it, took a couple months
Yeah.
until they started with us. They maybe work hard, they know it. And but then I had the relationship, but the team is the ones running the show on it, and they're so happy. And so the other day I said to the team, we really, really need to go to dinner with them. Like this is an incredible partnership and I want to thank them. And, we sat across the table and we really got to know the people behind the business and the work they do and the lives they're saving. It's so impactful and I looked at the senior team sitting there with me and I just thought, wow, like they are here to build the relationships. Like they're so vested. They love the work just as much as I do. And it was just a great feeling. It was very rewarding,
Yeah.
honestly.
It had
Yeah,
to feel very surreal
it
and
did.
such a
Yeah,
proud, emotional moment internally for you.
it did. And that's another tip I give that I still try to live is like take a moment and like really celebrate the
Yes.
wins that you have because we can all focus so much on what else we should be doing. And when you're an entrepreneur, there's 1,000 things.
Yes.
But when you really think about those good moments, like I take a moment to really mark that in my mind and in my body and also communicate that. I sent an email out to the team, I wrote it myself, not with AI, about what it means to build that relationship and how incredible that moment was. And they should, take that and think about that with all the clients they're building relationships with. Because at one point they were all my relationships, and I thought, how am I ever going to step back if everybody's just here because they know me? But it's not like that anymore. And so that was really a huge shift for me.
That's massive to be
Yeah.
able to create a legacy in so many different ways,
Yeah.
from the team members that are part of the team to the clients that you serve to the relationships that you have currently in the community and are
Yeah.
continuing to make within the community. And you're still there for your husband. You're still there for your daughter. I see you flying out east
I
for her
know.
games. I,
I
your
know.
son, I saw you at all of his football games when he was in
Oh
college. Like
my gosh.
social media is such a, like it
Isn't
rats
it
you out.
great? I know. Isn't it amazing? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's no one really knows how they do it. You just do it, right?
Yes.
Like you do it. You do what you need to do. And I was at every game. I was there for everything. I'm already flying out to see my daughter.
Oh, that's
And
so
at
exciting.
Cornell, she's got a big dance showcase coming up, and she's the president. And we're so proud of them.
Yeah.
And you never know if you're going to be a good enough parent when you have kids. You just
No,
try your best, you know? And I feel like my husband and I look at each other and we're like, okay, like we did okay. You know, they're
you did
in their
okay.
20s now and we can focus on ourselves a little bit more,
I
you know,
love
than we
that.
have been. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for being here. This has been truly incredible. I think that we went through a big journey. How can people find you? Because I know somebody's going to listen to this and think, how can I get in touch with this woman?
Well, I would love to hear from anyone out there. I mean, definitely my website, mekkymedia.com is one way. We have a contact us there or any of the social media platforms. I'm
Yeah.
very active on Instagram, Michelle Mekky, Facebook, LinkedIn. Please reach out.
I love it. And
Yeah.
those, of course, I will be putting those in the show notes so people can just scroll down and click on it and get straight to
Okay.
you. So
Yes.
that way they have full access. But I just really want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and being the first person on social media when I posted this to raise your hand and fill out that form. So thank you
Of
for
course,
all.
you know, I'm honored and women need to support women and it's one of my favorite things to do. And I've always been, you know, watching you and a fan. So
Thank you.
thank you for having me.
Thank you. You do you support the female community very well. So
Thank
I
you.
I always like to end each podcast with a question, one last question for my guest, and everybody gets the same. So it's not like
Okay. Okay,
it's not
I'm
like
ready.
one person gets a better one than the other one. um, what is one truth you wish women in leadership trusted sooner?
This definitely relates back to what I said earlier, but there's no need for us to work 24 hours a day as leaders. Even whether you're a business owner, whether you're leading a team, whether you're an executive, you know, sometimes we're so wired to just keep working, keep logging in, always being on our phone. There's no way to escape it these days. The soonest you can start adding time in your day to take care of yourself, the better off you'll be 100% and happier you'll be. And like I said, it could be any number of ways. It could be going for a walk. It could be taking a minute to have a cup of coffee in quiet. It could be sitting in your car and listening to a good song or getting to the gym if you can. You know, anything to help you get through the pressures is going to leave you whole. And I'm definitely proof of it. It took me many years to figure that out.
That was beautiful. Thank you again so much
Thank
for being here,
you.
Michelle. Please, everybody, reach out, tap that link in the show notes so that you can connect with Michelle. Whether it's even just following her on Instagram, send us a DM to let us know what little pieces of nuggets or inspiration you got from that. We'd love to hear from everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.